My most weird and crazy story exploring the wilderness. Picture a narrow, brush-choked canyon in Arizona's rim country that had flooded the night before, but the water is back down to normal. The extremely steep banks on either side of the creek are covered in dense growth, then cliff out in either direction, with a wading required. No place to put a tent and no way out short of using ropes or a helicopter. Sheer cliffs on either side after about 50 feet of steep bank, too. I'm bushwhacking down the canyon and going right down the middle of the creek because the banks are so overgrown as to be impassable. I'm whistling and calling, "Hey, bear!" as I go, 'cause bears. I hear a splash ahead and figured I'd spooked a critter. I go around a corner and I come across a clean gallon jug of water and a filter sitting on a rock in the middle of the creek. Clean, obviously just left there because the flash flood the night before would have washed them away. There were also a pair of shoes and socks on the bank, and some wet rocks and bare footprints where they'd crossed to the other side, and wet rain gear spread out to dry on bushes. No tracks leading into the area on either end, and with 2 choke points, I would have seen them. Really remote area that is a bitch to get into on a good day. Nobody answered when I called, "Hello!" Best analysis. They'd spent the night, the rain the night before washed their tracks away, in an extremely rough spot where there was no place to put a tent, there was no visible camp, and no real place to put one. And when they'd heard another human coming, they'd abandon their gear and run to hide in the bushes somewhere close to the creek. With the terrain, they couldn't have been more than 50 feet from me before they'd have run into vertical cliffs, likely hiding behind a fallen log or rock or hunched down in the undergrowth. Between the splash I heard and the water jug and filter being left behind in the middle of the creek and bare wet footprints on the rocks, it did look like they'd bolted in a hurry and weren't just taking a potty break. Maybe they were nude and didn't want to be seen, so they booked it for the bushes, but it was pretty chilly to be au natural. I don't know, LOL. They may have spent an awkward night on a hillside due to the flooding, maybe? Been there, done that, where I've had to make camp somewhere awkward due to weather. But why did they hide? Also, I'm female, so if it was just another woman not wanting to risk an encounter with a guy in the woods, my voice should have been reassuring. I decided I didn't want to meet anyone who was that determined not to meet me, and with the hair up on the back of my neck, I continued on. Given the terrain, they really did have to be hiding within 50 feet of me. Everything was gone when I hiked out the same way a week later.